Hello and welcome to the Reviews Brothers. Not long ago I took a look at some modern retro style games that have that classic feel to them. These are some of my favourite types of games, mainly because I'm old and I grew up during the 8 and 16-bit era of gaming, and I love seeing the inspiration in these modern games. Well, recently I've been playing a few more of them, so I thought I'd show you some of what I've been up to. Now, how about I shut up, you press that subscribe button, and we take a look at some games. First up is Katana 0. This is a really cool action game where you play as a ninja guy who has seen some shiz. The story here is actually deliberately vague. Really, all we know for sure is that you're a ninja blokey who is sick and has about 10 days to live. But there is a medicine which a mysterious group will give you as long as you act as their personal assassin. You don't ask too many questions because you want your meds, though you definitely have a conscience and some unfinished business. So each of the 10 days you're given a mission from your med peddler, which involves infiltrating some sort of enemy base, finding the boss at the end of it, and killing them. And it's really fun to do. The missions here are pretty short, but often take multiple tries, and they're definitely not easy. This is one of those games where enemies kill you just as much as you can kill them. You have to restart the level if you do die as well. Basically, you need to either spend a few minutes planning your strategy and then trying to do the level in one go, or do what I do and run in sword swinging and try to learn from your mistakes. As a ninja bloke, you have some cool stuff that you can do. You can of course run, jump and wall jump and so on, and you've got a sword to slash your enemies with. This is silent, so it's possible to be stealthy, but also you can use the environment to your advantage. You can hide behind doors and knock enemies out with them and use them as cover to dodge bullets. You can also pick up various bits of scenery, like vases, and use them as projectiles, throwing them at enemies to kill them instantly. If the enemies are above or below you and it's a platform that you can jump through, then you can slash from above or below to automatically target them and mess up their day. It's all very satisfying. Enemies mostly take just one hit, including the bosses, but some have guns, so you need to lure them close or stay unseen. Also, others have swords, and you can have little duels with them, or trick them by throwing vases in their face instead. It works really well and is super fast paced, and you know that when you mess up, it's your fault. Being a ninja, you also have some other abilities, like being able to dash, which makes you invincible for a second or so. This is essential for getting behind tough enemies, as well as getting through laser barriers, which can often be switched on and off by you to use to your advantage. And you can also slow down time. This helps you dodge bullets as well as getting through obstacles like spinning fans, but you do have a limited amount of slowdown per level. All the moves are easy to use and really fun to do. Putting them together to complete a level in a single run is just so much fun and makes you feel like a badass. Between days you get to speak to a doctor about the dreams that you're having, and this is where you get to piece together the story, and I don't want to spoil it too much, and it is pretty cool to play through and see these. You're given options on how you want to answer the questions that you're asked, and this will affect a few different things. In fact, there are actually conversations that happen throughout the main levels as well, where you can choose how to respond, and your answers do affect what happens next. It's great. It all looks fantastic too. The pixel art here is really well done and has an 80s neon theme to everything, which looks excellent, and the animation is just top notch. And you've got to mention the soundtrack. It's all synthwave stuff and is bloody brilliant, and exactly the sort of thing I like to listen to outside of the game. I've never heard anyone talk about this one, and I'm really glad I decided to give it a go. It's one that I highly recommend. Sticking with swords, here is Okinawa Rush. This is another action platform game where you play as some ninja samurai fighter people. There's 3 characters to choose from, each of which has their own slightly different story and fighting style, though they play through the same stages. Essentially, there's a clan of evil people that have turned up and need to be taught a lesson. The game here plays more like a traditional action platform game with some large levels to fight through. You'll need to explore the stages, collecting items for points and health, fighting bad guys, rescuing civilians, and looking for weapons to help you out. The problem is, I can't really tell you a whole lot about this game because after nearly 3 hours of trying, I still haven't managed to beat the first level, and I don't know if it's because I suck, or the game sucks, or I'm just missing something entirely. Now, the actual gameplay looks great. The level I've seen is broken up into various segments with a town, caves, a beach and so on, and you can run around it with evil ninjas appearing all over the place. Fighting them is really good fun, and you've got a pretty large moveset. You've got a weak and strong attack button, and even just using one button lets you do various combos with each different direction doing different moves. The strong attack button lets you do even more moves and special moves that are slower to hit, and you can also do things like fireballs. And there's even Street Fighter style inputs for special moves which use your special meter. It's all about learning the combos and attacks and putting together big ones so you can take out the multiple enemies. There's also weapons you can pick up. These are like ninja stars, swords, nunchucks, bow staffs and so on. You know, feudal Japan stuff. The weapons are all really powerful but don't last forever. You can also parry, which is essential but hard to do. You basically need to press the direction that the attack is coming from just before it hits and you'll block and parry it. This works for projectiles as well, so you can deflect ninja stars and things like that. It's also worth mentioning that all the characters do have slightly different movesets but essentially play the same. Honestly, I couldn't really tell any difference between them and got to literally the same point of the game with every character before I could go any further. There's a few issues here though, the main ones being that there's often 3 or more enemies fighting you at once, which seems to be fine, but you will get surrounded and it's really hard to keep track of what's going on, with some trying to punch you, some trying to slash you with a sword, and others throwing things at you. And you can only take about 5 hits before you die, and you die really fast. And that would be fine, but you only get 3 lives, and even worse, the game does that annoying thing where it slowly fades out, takes you to a continue screen, asks if you want to continue, then slowly goes back to the last checkpoint. It just takes so long for no reason and really takes you out of the fun. And you do sometimes get sent back quite far, so you have to replay a lot of the level. On top of this, there's traps in the levels that are instant kills. Spikes will appear out of walls and stab you, killing you immediately, and, well, to be fair, you do get warnings for these, but they're often so hard to avoid as you move so fast and they might be above or below you when you're trying to jump somewhere, and there's no way to know they're there without trial and error. And then there's the biggest issue, the controls. They are okay at best. I'm playing it on the Steam Deck, so I don't know if it's different on other consoles, but they just never felt quite right to me. The combat is jittery, and often I couldn't get the special attacks to work despite doing the correct input and having enough of my special meter. And then there's the jumping, which, to be honest, is just bad. You jump at a really strange speed and it feels really jerky and floaty at the same time. Couple this with some dodgy platform collision, which means you often slide off of the edges or miss them for no reason at all, and it just makes the platforming no fun. It's a shame because the game looks great and the premise is excellent, but the poor controls, crappy life mechanics really make this game one that I just didn't enjoy playing. Now, I am fully willing to accept that maybe I'm missing something here, and please tell me if I am, because I usually love this sort of game. But until then, I've already deleted it from my Steam Deck and have no intention of playing it ever again. Next up is Odallus, the Dark Call. You play as the stupidly named Haggis. An army of demons burn down your village and kidnap your son. You're not a big fan of that, so you set out to kill the bastards, which is fair enough. This game is a great mix of action platforming, Metroid-style exploration and item finding, with a little bit of RPG thrown in for good measure. And I don't mind telling you that I really like this game. The gameplay is simple. You start out in your town where you need to fight your way out. Once you've done that, you go to a map screen, and depending on where you exit the town, you have a few routes that you can unlock. So you carry on in this fashion, fighting through the new areas to unlock and find exits that lead you to new areas. Haggis is a pretty tough guy. He can run, jump, climb ledges and attack. You start with a weak sword, but as you play you get stronger weapons which deal out more and more damage. You also get secondary weapons that are things like fire torches and spears. These are used in the classic NES fashion by pressing up and attack, though there are control options to give them dedicated button if you'd prefer, which is nice. These are often used as tools as well as weapons. For example, one area needs you to light fire beacons with a torch. It's a nice touch because it means you don't go crazy with them as they do have limited use, though it's not usually that hard to find more if you do run out. There's plenty of enemies for you to fight here. These come in a few flavours. There's demons, skeletons, knights, evil plants, various animals and so on. What's nice is that you do often see the influences from older games like Castlevania, and it really does a good job of being a nice love letter to these old games. As you kill things, you'll get money which you can use to buy things from merchants, usually extra health or side weapons. And also, as you explore levels and fight bosses, you get relics. These are basically passive abilities. For example, the first one you get is a strength bracelet which lets you push massive rocks. You'll use this to open new paths, and what's cool is that you'll then need to go back to old areas that you visited before to open up the other paths that you couldn't get to before. Something I really like is that once a path has been opened, you can just teleport to it from the map screen. There's no unnecessary backtracking here, which makes the game have a really good pace to it. There's some puzzles in the levels as well, like needing to light torches, find switches and things like that. Some of these are optional and just give you access to hidden areas, but other times you've got no choice but to spend 10 minutes trying to figure out the right combination of things to push. The boss fights are really cool. I've fought 4 of them so far, and they all look really great with some cool patterns to figure out, and they will give you some good smack talk as well beforehand, to really make you want to slice their faces off. It all looks decent as well, with a good 8-bit aesthetic, and it looks really cool. There are skins you can unlock as well that pay homage to various other games of the time, which is a nice touch, and they actually even play slightly differently to one another as well. They've really made it clear that they're fans of these old games. I'm having a really good time with this one, and at around 6 hours, it's actually a lot longer than I expected. Definitely recommended. Now here's a good one for some thumbnail clickbait. It's the Angry Video Game Nerd 1 and 2 Deluxe Collection, where you get both the AVGN games in one handy package, as well as a bonus third game, which is basically a boss rush mode, I believe. Like presumably most of you, I've been watching AVGN for years and was pretty excited and somewhat cautious when I heard he was getting his own game. I mean, it was only a matter of time really. But yeah, both games are fun and have enough of the trademark swearing, in-jokes and references that you'd expect. The first game sees the nerd getting sucked into a video game world where there are 6 stages, all loosely based on various video games and video game tropes for you to get through. They are tough action platform games packed with enemies and obstacles that you'll need to avoid. The nerd can jump, run, climb ladders, and thankfully he's taken his NES Zapper with him so you can shoot enemies to kill them. Almost all of which are unique to their stages. So you've got snowmen in the snow level that act like Mega Man 2 enemies, there's Rob the Robots, bats, ghosts, slime balls, sharks, witches and more. These are clear references to games in most cases, like the ghosts being the shape of the ones in the NES Ghostbuster game. Some are more generic. But the bosses are always video game references, or something from the show at least, whether it be Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, that flying woman who asks you where you learned to fly in Cybermorph, or that demon thing from the Mecha Jesus episode. Fans of the show will really get a kick out of seeing these enemies. But for the most part, it's actually the levels themselves that are the danger, and there's a real emphasis on tricky platforming and traps here. There's almost always something firing or lasers appearing or skull blocks that kill you instantly if you touch them, so you really have to have good reflexes. You can take a few hits before you die, and you will need to collect rolling rock to replenish your health. You also get other side weapons like the Glitch Gremlin or even Mecha Jesus, which act as clear all attacks, but these of course have limited use. The second game plays largely the same. In fact, it's almost identical in terms of most things. The main differences are now there's a Mario 3 style overworld that lets you choose the order of the stages rather than just a plain level select like in the first one. This comes in handy though, as there are now upgrades where you can find hidden items in the levels. You get things like sticky boots that let you do wall jumps, or the power glove which lets you punch through certain blocks. These items can be used in levels that you've already beaten to take different paths or to help you collect all the nerd cartridges, which are used to unlock more content like other playable characters. Something that was noticeable in the second game is that most stages also seem to have their own gimmick. It might be riding Silver Surfer's board, traversing sewers with rising water in stages that are clear references to the Turtles on the NES, or the horror levels which have a deliberately narrow field of view making it hard to see what's coming up. It's a cool way of keeping things fresh, but I did kind of want some of the normal levels after a while rather than everyone seeming to have its own gimmick. But still, it's a really fun game that is challenging but for all the right reasons. As a package, this is great value. There's plenty of stuff hidden to find in the levels, and I never found it particularly frustrating. The graphics are decent, there's a lot of detail in the backgrounds, and I love all the references, but the animation isn't as great as I was hoping for, mainly because there isn't a whole lot of it compared to some of the other games here, but still, it's decent. Don't be fooled into thinking this is just a cash grab with the nerd slapped on it for a quick buck. This is a solid package with lots of content and challenge that's well worth your time. Okay, here's one that we probably all know about by now, especially if you're a fan of GameSack like I am. Fun fact, it was GameSack that inspired me to start my own channel, which is why it's basically a low effort version of Joe's show. Anyway, here is XenoCrisis being shown on the Steam Deck, just like every game in this video, but it is available on just about everything at this point. The story is simple. Aliens. Go kill them. This is done in a top-down shooter style that's basically an alien version of Smash TV, which if you've seen my top 10 Super Nintendo games video, you'll know is a very good thing in my book. You choose from 2 characters who play the same, so it's just if you want to have a cock or tits. Of course, you can also play in 2-player co-op and have both at the same time if you're lucky. Then you enter a base and have to clear it of aliens, room by room. Aliens will pour in and you just have to shoot them till they're dead, but it's not easy. You've got a machine gun as your primary weapon, and interestingly, it doesn't have infinite ammo like you'd think it would. It's got clips that need to be reloaded, and you can run out, but never for long. Whenever you're low on ammo, a box will automatically appear somewhere on the stage for you to collect, which fills you back up to max. But it doesn't always appear close to you, so can be tricky to reach when there's enemies all over the place. I didn't really like this at first, but when I got used to it, I realised it's actually a good way of making sure every shot counts, and to play tactically. You can also find other weapons like a shotgun, spread gun, BFG and so on. These all have a timer and can be used as much as you want until the time runs out, so go crazy. Enemies, of which there are a great variety of aliens, come in all shapes and sizes. They will drop dog tags when they die, sometimes anyway. These can be used between levels to upgrade your characters. You can buy more health, which is more like lives really. You only actually get 1 life per continue, but you can take a few shots before you die. Or you can upgrade your speed, the number of grenades you can carry, the clip size of your weapon, or the power of your machine gun, and even things like a gas mask which helps against certain enemies. This is a nice touch, but the issue I have with this is that everything is so damn expensive that you often can't buy anything, or at least very little. But as you get better at the game, you learn to save up for certain things, and you won't need to buy as much of other things as you would do on your first few playthroughs. Or you can just be a cheat like I eventually was and give yourself unlimited dog tags, which I actually do recommend doing at some point as it's a good way to help learn the game. Eventually you'll find your way to a boss. These are massive monstrosities that look really great and they're always fun to fight. Yep, they've got patterns you need to learn and it's really fun to do so. Something to remember is that you also have a roll dodge that can make you invincible while you're rolling, so be sure to get used to using that to survive. Sometimes you'll see humans to rescue as well. These guys all have names, and I presume they're the Kickstarter backers, which is a nice way to get them in the game. I like that a lot, and always make sure to rescue them. Overall, this is a pretty simple game, and there's not really much more to say, but in a good way. It's balls to the wall arcade action, and is really damn tough, but a fair challenge that you'll want to keep coming back to again and again. And finally for today, here is Tower 57. This is another top-down action game that plays more like a twin-stick shooter. There are 6 characters to choose from here, all of which are part of an elite task force who have been given a mission to infiltrate the mysterious Tower 57, a huge dystopian steampunk-themed tower where there's rumours of strange nefarious things going on. Turns out there are, so you gotta go stop it. Interestingly, you actually get to choose 3 of the 6 characters at the start of the game, and this makes up your mini task force. They each have their own stats in terms of speed, health and so on, and they also have their own starting weapons, items and abilities, and they'll all come in handy at various different places as you play through the game. It's a great way to keep things fresh and it's nice to try them all out. There's a cop, a don, a scientist, a diplomat, a beggar and a spy. Once you've chosen your trio, you make your way to the bottom of the tower, and when you know it, you've got to make your way to the top. The game is a mixture of top-down shooter levels and more relaxed levels. In the shooter ones, you fight a bunch of mutant and robot bastards that have been hiding the horrible secrets in the tower. In these stages, you've got to explore the large levels, often looking for keycards or switches that will open doors and paths to new areas. You always have a weapon with unlimited ammo. Of course, this is very weak and should only really be used as a last resort. Each character has their own weapon, like the cop having a shotgun, the scientist having a Tesla cannon, and the diplomat having a flamethrower. Each of these weapons is far more powerful but uses ammo, which usually isn't too hard to come by. As well as this, you can carry additional 3 weapons that you can switch between. These are found in the levels and are the same for every character, so you'll find various machine guns, rocket launchers and so on. As well as this, all the characters have ability items like a grappling hook, the ability to slow down time and so on. These abilities are used at various points in the game and open different paths to play on, meaning that you can take different routes depending on who is in your party. You also have a special screen clearing attack. Killing enemies builds up your special bar, and when it's full you can use it whenever you like. But what's cool is that swapping your characters also uses your special bar, so there's times where you've got to decide if you want to change to a new character or use your special abilities. Oh, and it's important to know that each character has their own life bar, so if you're nearly dead, you're going to want to change to someone else. But make sure you switch back when you find a healing item, as you will only heal whoever you're currently playing as. Enemies drop money, as well as being able to find it in the highly destructible environments. Almost everything here can be destroyed, so shoot everything to find as much money as you can. This can be used to upgrade your characters. You can increase your health, ammo, speed, and so on. You'll also find kiosks where you can buy ammo and med packs and things like that. Things can be pricey though, so make sure to shoot everything to get as much money as you can. Interestingly, you can also be ripped in half by some enemies, which is fun. You don't die immediately though, instead you just slowly lose your health. But if you manage to crawl your ass back to a healing station, you can just buy some new legs, which is nice. Every level has objectives which can be viewed on the handy map that you get, and once they're all completed, you move on to the next level of the tower. Some stages don't have any combat and are just exploration or interacting with NPCs, and the game does a great job of mixing things up. It all looks great too, with some excellent pixel art and great animation. There's a ton of detail everywhere and I really like how it all looks. This is my kind of look for a game. The controls are decent, though not perfect. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's something a little wonky about some of the movement and aiming sometimes, but never enough to ruin anything. This is another game that I'm really enjoying. I'm about halfway through at the moment, but I will be going back to finish it, and once I've done that, I'll probably go back through it with the other 3 characters. Oh, and you can even play this one in 2-player co-op, which I'll definitely be trying next time I see Belt Buckle Bill. So there you go. Even more retro style games that came out sort of recently that you might want to try. I do really like this type of game, so make sure you recommend more that I should be checking out, because I probably will. On screen now you can see where else you can follow me, so why not do so? I've got loads of great content for everyone to enjoy. And now, all that's left for me to say is thank you for joining us, and I'll see you next time.